Okay, I am going to go ahead and get started just in the interest of time. We've got a lot to talk about. So thank you for joining us to learn a little bit more about the 5 corridor public art opportunities. As members of this artist pool, these opportunities are open to only you guys. So that's very exciting. I also wanted to acknowledge our other staff members. We have Alex Herrera, Maria Teresa Bonet, and Anna Bradley, and I think Kurt Getman too. You got the whole gang of project managers on the call today. So Alex is helping with technical and informational support for tonight's meeting. So thank you to all of them. I don't think we have any corridor staff tonight, but that's okay. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. So today we're going to cover some general information about the AIPP program background on the 5 projects, and how to let us know if you would like to be considered for these opportunities. The presentation part of the meeting will last about 45 minutes. It'll be followed by Q&A period, and we'll answer all your questions. To ask a question, please type it into the chat area in Zoom. I'll go over how to do this in a minute. Feel free to add your questions during the presentation period, and then we'll circle back at the end and answer those questions. Just want to touch on some Zoom basics before we get started. We are recording this meeting, so we would like to ask you to mute your sound and turn off your camera so that we have the best production quality on the recording. A recording of this will be posted to YouTube shortly after the meeting and sent directly to all the artists in the Corridor Program Artist Pool. If you're turning in from your computer, your screen will look something like this. There are a series of options at the bottom of your window. I've circled the one for chat. You can click it to access the chat, and make sure you're chatting to everyone so that all the participants can see the questions. If you're having technical difficulties, you can always message the host, Alex Herrera, directly, and she can help you. If you are using a mobile device, your screen will look a little different like this. To access the chat window, click participants, and then on the next screen, you'll click chats, and you can type your question in there. If you're simply calling into the meeting, you won't be able to have access to the meeting visuals. However, we're recording it, so you can reference those later. A quick little org chart. AIPP is a program of the Cultural Arts Division, which is a division of the Economic Development Department within the City of Austin. Housing AIPP within the Econ Development Department allows us to focus not only on the amazing cultural and creative interventions that we complete on each capital improvement project, but it also allows us to emphasize the huge economic impact that the arts have within our city's thriving economy. We work to get money into the hands of artists every single day. Every day. AIPP was started in 1985. It's the oldest program of its kind in Texas. We're funded through an ordinance that dedicates 2% of all bond-related capital improvement project budgets to the creation of a permanent artwork in, on, at, or near that project construction site. Capital improvement projects include things like the creation and renovation of libraries, fire stations, parks, bridges, and streetscapes. AIPP staff manages the creation of new artworks for the collection. We currently have over 325 public artworks in 150 plus locations. Our staff also manages repairs, donations, and loans to the collection. At this time, our staff is working on nearly 90 projects. That's a lot. Here are some examples of works in the collection. As you can see, there is a diversity of form, materials, scale, and a mix of exterior and interior pieces. If you'd like more information on how AIPP is funded or the work of AIPP, you can visit our website, austincreates.com. Our entire collection is also listed on publicarchive.org. You can explore everything in the city of Austin, not just the city's collection, but all public art. And feel free to reach out to any of the project managers by phone or email with any questions. Okay, here we go. Corridor Construction Program, AIPP projects. The Corridor Construction Program in the Austin Transportation Department is the sponsor of all 5 opportunities today. So we'll speak a little bit about what I'll refer to as the CCP. The Corridor Construction Program was voted in by Austinites in the 2016 bond election. Voters approved to spend $720 million in bonds for transportation and mobility improvements throughout the city. With that bond election, $482 million of the mobility bond has been dedicated to the city's corridor construction program. This funding will be used for corridors, which are destinations for residents and visitors, as well as home to many businesses and Austinites. The CCP is tasked with development, design, and construction of all the improvements along the 9 key corridors. This map is an overall map that shows all 9 corridors. These construction projects are focused on improving mobility, safety, and connectivity for all users, whether driving, walking, biking, or taking public transport. These enhancements offer an opportunity to amplify and celebrate the communities and cultures that already exist in and around these corridors, and that includes by using public art. For further information, there's a link here that you are welcome to explore. So the CCP and AIPP identified 9 corridors for improvement and 13 opportunities available for artists in the CCP artist pool. Some of the corridors were too long or were comprised of distinct cultural and/or business communities, which led to how the 9 corridors turned into 13 opportunities. Staff also worked to ensure that as many of the city's districts received artwork as possible. So here are the 9 corridors and the 13 associated artwork budgets. Each artist in this pool is eligible for only 1 opportunity. So what that means is you can opt into as many as you want, but you will only be able to receive 1 contract. This helps us to ensure the diversity of our collection. So please consider your relationship to the area and your interest in working on that particular project when you're deciding whether or not to opt in. Each project budget is inclusive of design, fabrication, installation of the artwork, including shipping, insurance, travel, and all project-related costs. The funds for these 13 public art projects are derived from the 2% of each estimated corridor construction improvement project budget as directed by the city's Art and Public Places Ordinance. The combined artist budgets for all 13 opportunities is $1.18 million. Today, we're going to be going into detail for 5 of the projects. Okay, Airport Boulevard. Airport Boulevard was originally built along the southern border of the Robert Mueller Municipal Airport, which began its operations in 1930, and that's how the road got its name. As the city grew, houses and businesses began to populate the roadway, many of which would gain iconic status for years to come. In 2019, a state bill filed by Representative Cheryl Cole effectively renamed a portion of Airport Boulevard between northern intersection with Lavender Loop and the intersection with Parkwood Road as the Richard Overton Memorial Highway. It's in honor of America's oldest World War II veteran who lived to be 112 years old and passed away in 2018. The main terminal of the Robert Mueller Municipal Airport was dedicated in 1961, and the tower remains as a focal point in the Mueller development. Highland Mall was Austin's first indoor shopping mall. It opened in 1971 and closed in 2015. The old mall has since been transformed into a college, Austin Community College Highland campus. Near the site of Highland Mall, travelers can find historic Austin businesses such as Mrs. Johnson's Bakery, Lamb's Candies, Tamale House, Quality Seafood, I Love Video, I'm not sure if that's still open. Dan's Hamburgers, all of which are still operating today. In the early 2000s, East Austin began to see, an increase in the number of artists living and working in the area. Places like Canopy, a warehouse turned studio complex, and Springdale General provide space to incubate creativity along the corridor. The budget for each artwork is $100,000. The budget's all inclusive, as we noted. Here are two possible locations, borders for where the AIPP projects will go. On Airport between 45th and 55th, and on Airport between East MLK and 183. I think that second picture, map got a little messed up. I'll have to fix that. Here are some additional aerial shots and a rendering of Airport at 53rd. And also there's sort of a tri-intersection at Airport, Burnett Road, and Shady Lane, where they will be completing a pocket green park. So artwork could possibly go there as well. Goals for the art. With every AIPP project, staff worked with the community to gain insight on project goals that reflect the community and help guide the selected artists with the intent of the final artwork. This project has 6 goals. You can see here, by achieving those project goals established by the community, the artwork has the best chance of benefiting the community that it's intended to serve. Who will be on the jury? For most open calls, AIPP hires a jury of artists and visual arts professionals who bring relevant knowledge to each particular project. Because we're using the Corridor Construction Program Artist Pool, which has already been vetted and selected by arts professionals, we're able to use a wider jury for our selection process. Here you can see the jury for both Airport Road projects. And here is an overall timeline for the project. We hope to stick to it as best as possible. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to my lovely and amazing colleague, Maria Teresa Bonet.
Hi, good evening, y'all. So I'm here to talk about Burnett Road and our two other opportunities I have, Guadeloupe and East MLK. I'll begin here with Burnett Road here. And so a little bit about Burnett Road background, getting all my screens situated. Thanks for a little bit of patience. So Burnett Road, the section where we have stands lies on in District 7 and is in those neighborhoods is what surrounds it. So it used to actually be known as Upper Georgetown Road, and it's served as the city limit at one point. Its main purpose was to provide farmers access from markets and into town, and also keep Austin connected to Georgetown. It was this big boundary at that point between the commercial district of Austin and undeveloped and farmland. So during the 1930s and 30s, the first subdivisions among Burnett Road started appearing, including Rosedale and Brentwood neighborhoods. Growth and development, of course, continued to spread in the 50s and 60s as World War II veterans returned home to their families and began purchasing more homes. And it was after the view that the neighborhoods that we know as Crestview and Allendale were built. So more and more residents kept moving to this neighborhood, and businesses began to pop up conveniently along the local goods and foods for the community. So gas stations, grocery stores, and automobile services became more accessible and connected to the goods and the services they needed most. And so next thing that you'll see is that at one end of this, oh, go back a little bit more on the, is that on the towards the north side of this corridor, because it does extend past 183, is that you have the domain on one side. And by the domain, as many of you may or may not know, there are lots of recognized, domain is Poplar office, retail, residential center. And today, I couldn't even believe this number, houses more than 1.8 million square feet of stores. So lots of places, bars, restaurants, and places to dine and shop, entertainment like live music, but also to live. The other place, it's maybe a little bit less well known, is the J.J. Pickle Research Center. Hook 'em horns, guys. That is still owned by the University of Texas. And it was a campus that was bought from the U.S. government with help from Congressman Lyndon B. Johnson. And it was renamed after a UT alumnus for his role in bringing major research efforts to the campus. It continues to serve as a research facility for today. So this is pretty unique in the sense that it's a pretty iconic spot for one of probably Austin's most well-known films, and fans in TV will recognize it for two different notable corridor spots. Top Notch, a popular drive-in restaurant, has been also serving up burgers and pie for 49 years and appeared in the film Dazed and Confused, where Matthew McConaughey first coined that phrase, the now famous line, all right. And for football fans out there, if you watched Friday Night Lights, Dairy Queen on Burnett Road is another spot that was seen and recognized as the Alamo Freeze, where the football team would go after winning a game. Next slide. Ooh. So here we have two aerial views of the Burnett Road. The budget is $139. The $139,000, excuse me, guys. Based on potential locations, based on a review of potential locations on the corridor, the artwork opportunity is expected to be located between White Horse Trail and US 183. Once an artist or artist team is selected for the contract, a further more concise area will be. This budget is inclusive and covers all costs to design and creating the work. Next slide, please. So budget, Burnet Road project goals. This project has 6 project goals that you can see here. By achieving these project goals established by the community, the artwork has the best chance of benefiting the community, and it is the community it is intended to serve. Next slide. Wonderful. So who will be on the jury? As Marjorie said, for most open calls, AIPP hires a jury of artists and visual arts professionals who bring relevant knowledge to each particular project. Because we are using the corridor construction artist pool, which has already been vetted and selected by art professionals, we are able to use a wider jury for our selection process. And here is the selection. Here is the jury and potential advisors for Burnett Road. Awesome. Next slide, please. So Burnett Road schedule. So this is the schedule we're planning on for right now. All right, now we can move on to Guadeloupe and its background. So a favorite corridor of mine. You can tell that I went to UT, can't you? So in 1839, the Republic of Texas President Mirabeau Lamar commissioned Edwin Waller to lead the development of Austin. Guadalupe Street was among the first north-south river named streets included as part of Austin's original street grid. So this is something really cool that I didn't know where the drag got its name from. So the drag, which is a section of Guadalupe Street that runs through UT's campus, gets its name from the streetcars that were originally dragged by mules in the late 19th century. Over time, the drag evolved from a streetcar route in the heart of early Austin to a hub of activism during the Civil Rights era. In 1961, the University of Texas students advocating for desegregation began peaceful stand-in protests at the Texas and Varsity theaters. UT had been desegregated for a few years prior, but business surrounding the university had not yet followed in the school's footsteps. The protests, supported by UT faculty and staff, led to the desegregation of local theaters as well as other nearby businesses. It's believed that the Texas and Varsity theaters were among the first businesses in Austin to become desegregated. Guadalupe Street is home to several classic murals, such as one of my favorites, Hi, How Are You?, created by iconic Austin musician Daniel Johnston. I remember growing up and seeing this every single Sunday. And the Austin, Texas mural that serves as a popular photo op for visitors. The road also has its mark in national pop culture, with several locations appearing in scenes from Richard Linklater's 1991 cult classic Slacker. As a bad native Austinite, I must admit, I've never seen Slacker, but many of Slacker's best known vignettes and scenes take place in a key intersection on stretches of Guadalupe and are still recognizable today. In 2012, this film was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. Next slide, please. So Guadalupe Street artwork area. As said here, it is expected to be located on the 24th Street, on 24th Street between Guadalupe and North Lamar. And once more, the budget is $63,000. It is all inclusive. So it will contain design, create all costs related to design, creating the artwork, and any other project related costs. This location will be further detailed once we have an artist on board between the Corridor Project, AIPP staff, and said contracted artists. Wonderful. Next slide, please. So, Guadalupe Street, the goals for this, we have 6 goals that have been worked as this corridor project and AIPP project as they worked in combination to come up with 6 goals, came up maintenance and project that you see above. And working with these 6 goals, the artwork has the best chance of benefiting the community that is intended to serve. Thank you. Next slide. These are the jurors and advisors that we hope that, as I said before, are able to be from the community. All right. And next slide. This is the schedule that we are hoping to keep in line with. All right, and the last corridor that we have that rounds out our 5. So this is the corridor, East EMLK Boulevard. We're looking east of 183 and just short of Decker Lane. And East Martin Luther King Jr. Farm Road, Farm to Market Road 969 is located just east, as I said, of 183, north of the Colorado River, extending through Travis County to Bass Rock County. This family-oriented community thrives on its diverse neighborhoods and access to trails and parks such as Little Walnut Creek Greenbelt. Originally inhabited by Native American hunter-gatherers known as Tonkawas, Walnut Creek served as a resource for food and water for this tribe. Native American artifacts have been found along Walnut Creek, and that continues to reveal the rich history of what is now called Travis County. In 1941, the highway designation FM, farm to market, was first used in Texas. And in 1945, Texas legislature approved a 3-year pilot program for FM road construction, to which FM 969 was considered a pilot program road, formerly known as 19th Street. The city of Austin officially changed the name of this road to Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in April 1975 to honor the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So this road consists of many of this area, East MLK, Farm Market 969. This corridor consists of many pockets of nature and serves as a route to get to various parks and trails, such as mentioned, the Little Walnut Creek Trail to Springdale Park, as well as meadows at Trinity Crossing and the John Trevino Jr. Metro Park at Morrison Ranch. All right, next slide, please. The expected opportunity is rather broad here, and it could expand the entire corridor as a whole. The budget is $63,000, inclusive of all project-related costs. Next slide. Here we have 5 different goals that represent are representative of the East MLK Boulevard project. Below, and then this slide shows our jurors and advisors. Next slide. And then here is the schedule for this project. You may have noticed that at this time, many of our schedules are very similar. Excellent. Thanks. Marjorie.
Back to me.
Yes.
So the artist selection process is made up of a jury of both community and project advisors who will recommend one artist and one alternate per project. Again, each artist in this pool is eligible for only one project, so keep that in mind as you decide which ones you would like to opt into. Okay. So how do you opt in? Opt in by clicking the link below and adding your name. I also sent you an email, which is probably how you knew about this meeting. And the link was in that email as well. The deadline to opt in is next Friday at 5 p.m. What does opting in look like? It's super easy. The first question will ask you your name. Type in your name, first and last. The next question asks you which opportunity you are interested in. You can click one or multiple. Select the opportunities that you're interested in, hit submit, and you're done. You will receive a screen that thanks you for your response, and we will be emailed your response. Finally, what questions do you have? I am going to minimize my screen, and Maria Teresa is going to help me read questions from the chat.
So we have 2 right now, both.
Great.
The first one is, are we able to share a representative example contract that we'd be using for commissioning an artist?
I can possibly share that, yes. David, why don't you email me directly at marjorie.flanagan@austintexas.gov, and I can share that with you.
Okay, and then the next one is, how many artists have opted in for past recent projects? is that data that we have on hand at this moment?
I think we had 50. No, maybe I'm thinking if AFD EMS Anna Bradley, I think, is on the call. She might be able to answer. Might have been 61. Actually, I don't remember.
What was the question?
How many people opted in?
We had about 63 and 60-ish.
It's close.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
about the same for each call, and we'll be making that selection shortly.
Thank you. Other questions?
Great. Here we have one that says, I live on one corridor and I am deeply engaged with the community there. How do I
Great.
communicate this to the jury, or will there be an opportunity to do so at any point?
So when you applied to the Corridor Construction Program Artist Pool, there was a question asking you if you had a tie to a corridor. I hope that you entered it then, and then you would be able to further express your tie to that community if you're selected for interview.
All right. So the next one that we have is, do corridor artworks have to span the entire corridor, or can they be freestanding pieces that occupy a traffic corner?
Great question. They do not have to span an 11-mile long corridor in some cases. We like to think that the artist will work with the community to determine the best location for the artwork. It could be an empty piece of right-of-way corner next to the sidewalk. It could be on the side of a retaining wall that the city owns. There's any number of things that could be, but no, it does not need to span. Although it could, if you find, 4 spots along the road that you want to put pieces of art along, that's an option too.
Awesome. Anyone else?
I will try to get this video back to you guys tomorrow, but I have to send it to our technology department people for them to post it on YouTube. And then I get that link back, and then I can send it to everyone in the pool. So it could be till Monday.
Okay. So the next question is, are there construction renderings made for each of the opportunities? So there are for some. Others have not been completed. So yes and no. Marjorie, is there things you'd like to expand on that answer?
No, that's exactly right. So, some things are in design, so there are not renderings yet, but we gave you the best of what we have at this point in time.
All right, so can I describe a little bit more, a little more fully, the type of improvement envisioned for Burnett Road? Yes, I can. Just allow me one moment. The improvements that are looking into being put into Burnett Road, they include upgraded traffic signals, drainage, intersection turn lane modifications, ADA sidewalks, median aisles, and bus stop improvements. So construction is scheduled to start in late 2020 with anticipated completion in 19 months.
I did want to note about our timelines. All of these contracts are above our department's authority to move forward with before we receive council authority. So after the artist is selected, that selection process is approved by Art and Public Places Panel and the Arts Commission. And then we move forward with taking that recommendation to City Council for their approval to negotiate the contract. So there will be a bit of a lag time between when the artist is selected and when they go under contract. I would say 3 months. Any other questions? Oh, I also wanted to say about the timeline. All of these projects have to be completed by 2024. The City Council made a contract with the Transportation Department to be held accountable to the voters that these improvements will be done by 2024. That includes our projects. So we are working hard to make that happen.
Alex, can you show the slide of the timeline, please?
A timeline. If there aren't any other questions, we can wrap up today. I did want to say again, if you are falling asleep tonight and thinking about this, don't hesitate to reach out to, Maria Teresa or I, and sorry about that, guys. Email us with questions.
I'll just chime in. I put this in the chat. The austintexas.gov Department Corridor Program Implementations Office. It's a really catchy URL. Take you to the corridor construction program, as well as the other municipal bonds that the Transportation Department is spending money on. And from there, you can go into more direct history of where the construction program corridor construction is currently at. You can sign up for their newsletters, and you can see more in depth of what the neighborhood was construction improvements were going to be.
Thank you, Anna. Yeah, and as a note, we are not historians. We are AIPP project managers. So we try to provide a basic foundation for an artist, but they are expected and contracted to do research and development for their designs as well. Alex, did you have something?
I have 2 more questions from Christine. The first one is, will there be multiple finalists selected for each commission?
There could be. It just depends on whether the jury decides that's appropriate or not. There can be up to 3 finalists that are interviewed for each opportunity, or they can just pick the artist and alternate and say, this is the one. So it's up to the jury.
Thank you. And then will a scale model and site drawing be required?
You will be required to draw or show your design in situ, so on site. How you want to do that is up to you as an artist. It could be through a 3D rendering, it could be through a hand drawing and photographs. But yes, you will have to show your design at the location.
And we have another question in the chat. It says, at some point during the final selection, will the artist be asked to develop a model? And if so, will they be compensated for their time?
Not during selection. We are not having a proposal phase during the selection of the corridor program projects. On other open calls, when we do require time spent on design or a model, we do pay participants for their time, but we're not requiring that this time. Good questions. We're wrapping it up.
Are there any other questions, or I was wondering if anyone had any like location specific questions even? I don't know if that's helpful.
Okay, speak now or forever hold your peace. Bye-bye from Martin Public Places. Whoop, whoop.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for joining us this evening.
Jamie, Jean. It's good to see all these people. Hi, Jean. Hi, Jean.
Hello. Hi, Jamie. Hi, David.
Hi, David.
Hi, Alonzo.
Hi.
Jean.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thank you. Now we're just staring at each other saying, hi, 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 hi,
Hi.
Hi.
I only every day.
hi, hi.
Goodbye.